Okay, so this is my first official vlog video for this YouTube channel. Um, I just kind of decided to spontaneously start my own vlog because, I was on Instagram a couple of days ago and I came to the conclusion that I pretty much have too much on my mind to just make like single story posts here and there. So I decided, hey, why not try and make a vlog on YouTube? Because I feel like these days it's kind of the best time ever, right? Um, long story short, I've been watching a lot of those like old style videos, I guess, of like people sitting in their car, just talking to the camera and solo and things like that, and just kind of saying what's on their mind. Not a lot of fancy editing, not a lot of um, just like over the top stuff. Just stuff that's very raw and very real compared to a lot of what we see on the internet these days. Um, and that's just kind of what I'm trying to do here. I just want to speak my mind. I just want to talk about what's up. Um, I am a recently graduated film student. I've been out of school for about 2 years now, a little over 2 years. Um, that's why I got the fancy, lavalier microphone. I'm shooting this with a Panasonic Lumix GH4, which I gotta say, for a camera that's pretty old. I mean, this camera came out, I think it was 2014 when this camera model came out. It holds up really well. Like, I'm shooting in 4K, got some pretty good quality audio going for a DSLR camera. Got my lighting going here. I mean, my lighting skills are not perfect, but honestly, I think that's okay. Because I think in a non-speaking way, that just kind of shows that nobody is perfect, and the way that you present yourself on the internet does not have to be 100% beautiful. Um, I mean, my lighting setup is pretty basic. I mean, even my use of my backdrop is still not perfect yet, and like I said before, it's honestly never going to be perfect, and I think that's okay. Um, but mainly, I want to talk about today at least. I want to talk about some of the stuff I've been seeing on like Instagram and such, and just like a lot of the social media trends I've been seeing lately. Because last night, I actually made a huge modification to my phone, and I want to show you what that is right now. Up. Okay, this is going to be kind of hard to show with my camera angle here, but I'll do my best. Okay, so here's my phone, by the way. It's fairly old. I think it's a 2020 iPhone SE or something like that, but it's got no case because I'm so fancy. I don't use a case, but here. So we got a red screen, which I know seems kind of weird, but here, let me open it. So yeah, red screen, very minimal apps. It's kind of hard to see. I'm gonna have to readjust my focus if I show you this more up close, and that's gonna be hard to adjust back because of how far away I am. But yeah, very minimal apps. I actually don't have any social media apps on here right now, because I came to the conclusion that I only want to check my social media on my computers and not on my smartphone, because I feel like, I just read a study, and I know a lot of you out there have probably seen this study, that said that, um, scrolling in short form video content is arguably worse for your mind than um, alcohol and smoking combined. I don't know how valid that study is. I don't know how valid it is to even say that, because I know that people are subjective, and I know that not everybody's mentality works the same. Um, but I'm taking it seriously because I know that I myself have had a pretty bad addiction with like smartphone usage before, as I know a lot of other people out there have, especially in this day and age. I think it's become kind of a stereotype that the average American stays up until like 2, or so in the morning, just scrolling away on their phone, inconclusively. So that's something I've really been working on. I do make an effort to put my phone out here at night when I go to bed. By the way, this is my this is my living room. I just have kind of like a makeshift studio setup going on right now. Um, and also, I don't plan on editing out any of these blunders I'm making. I know that my speech is not perfect, and I know that I'm making a lot of like little blunders here and there, but I don't plan on editing those out this time because I want this to be a raw and honest vlog. So, and I gotta say, the camera I'm using, some people might say this camera is a little bit over the top for this kind of content because it's like I don't want to say it's totally cinema grade, but I know that this line of camera models just recently had the first Netflix approved camera, like, let me, sorry, let me back up on that. This, so the Lumix models just recently got approved in the last couple of years by Netflix as being the first Netflix approved DSLR cameras to be used in like Netflix productions. So I think that's pretty cool. I mean, this camera is definitely not that high of quality, but I'd say, I mean, I'm using a cinema style lens on it right now. That's it's 24 millimeters, but that's more like 12, I think, in full frame. This is not a full frame camera, so that again backups how it's not super fancy. But honestly, I mean, the camera effects I can go on about forever, and I don't want to detract too much from what I'm here to talk about. But yeah, so with all these advancements in AI that are going on these days, that also kind of troubles me because, especially as a film major, because, you kind of do rely a lot on your own like organic creativity to make these things happen. And I feel like that's something that AI might slowly take away from us unless we really, get back to thinking on our feet when we can. That's another thing. I feel like in a way, and this is something I talked about in a story post I made a little bit ago, I feel like as much as we are advancing with this technology, the more that we are kind of cornering ourselves because one day it's going to be very hard for us to escape these changes, and to do so, basically what it means to be off the grid now is not going to be the same as what it means to be off the grid a few years from now down the line. It's going to change that definition a bit. I think one day we're going to reach a world where AI is so frequent, and so I feel like every other thing we come across is going to be AI related somehow. You know, um, something else I asked AI. Something I actually let me okay. Let me back up again. Something else I asked AI a few days ago was, will AI ever allow us to escape the fate of the sun? And the answer it gave me was most likely no. Because in order to do that, we would have to, go on a far distant, interstellar travel to a whole nother galaxy and somehow find another planet that is inhabitable enough for us, which, I mean, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. I mean, I think the chances of us not outliving the fate of the sun are much greater than the idea that we're going to somehow escape the fate of the sun. Unless we somehow find a way to build an AI-driven, spaceship, like in the movie WALL-E, that's capable of holding all humankind on it. But again, what are the odds we're ever going to get to that point? But I guess to finish up what I'm saying in this video is I've seen a lot of people make just these raw, vlogs lately. Also, sorry if my voice is cracking a bit. Like I said, my speech is not perfect. Sometimes I talk too fast. Sometimes my voice cracks uncontrollably. Sometimes I'm just all over the place in general. So my apologies for that. But at the same time, it's an imperfection. We all have them. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I've been seeing a lot of these vlogs appear on YouTube lately, like these just raw, unedited vlogs come up, which honestly, these days I do tend to prefer that kind of content because I feel like it's very raw, and I feel like, I know I've used that word a lot, but it kind of detracts from all of the like highly artificial and like heavily edited content we see these days that doesn't really have a lot of, from the heart substance like it should, in my opinion. A lot of people, and one thing that I've really taken notice of lately is a lot of people that make these vlogs are pretty depressed. They make this content because they are trying to get their name out there, not just because they're trying to build some kind of brand, and not just because they're trying to promote themselves in any way, but it's because they're lonely. and it's because they want friends, or they want at least to have more connections, even if they're loose and virtual. Um, and this is me at 24 years old. It's like I am not a fan of short form content, even though I'm guilty as charged as having scrolled through a lot of it and possibly letting it take the effects of my mind that it has on other people, like it has on other people. Um, I've noticed that my attention span has gotten way shorter ever since I really started digging into it and like scrolling nonstop, like a lot of us. Um, I want to be able to get to a point again where I can watch full-length movies. I mean, given the fact that I'm a film major and given the fact that there was a time where I was heavily into movies. Um, Aside from the constant scrolling, mental health is also factored in for me. I've had my share of mental health struggles, again, like a lot of us have nowadays. Um, so that's also played a role, but I feel like, and I saw somebody else mention this in a similar style video, I feel like we are getting to a point where it's hard to mentally improve ourselves because we always have that brick with a screen on it in our pocket or hand. I think that does kind of hinder that for a lot of us because it's very hard to put down. And a lot of people say, control your intake. Control how much you're dieting on your phone in terms of how much you're using it. But I think that's way easier said than done. It's definitely easier to diet on actual food if you feel the need to for yourself. But aside from that, I like I said before, I do worry that we are sometimes cornering ourselves with all these changes because I don't want to get to a point where like all of this advanced tech and like all this AI stuff is like virtually inescapable for us unless you're just living totally off the grid, like I said before. I'm not the kind of person that would ever try that, but at the same time, I do want to see some sort of, personal freedom stay in place when it comes to who chooses to use AI a lot and who doesn't. And that's why it does discourage me, like it does a lot of people, like how indistinguishable AI content is getting from non-AI content nowadays. It's getting much more difficult to recognize these subtle differences between the two. And I get that some are more obvious than others, but it's getting, like, in a general sense, it's getting harder. Um, so that's just something else I think that's important to keep in mind for a lot of us. Um, Especially with the politics these days. I feel like, I've always kind of considered politics to be like this endless tug of war game between both sides. I mean, like the MAGA movement, for example, like I don't want to get into like my own beliefs too much with this stuff, but if you take the MAGA movement, that is their massive tug on their side of the rope. And at some point, I feel like in the mid-future, well, maybe not the mid-future, but at some point in the future, the middle of that rope is going to snap right where that bandana is, and it's going to cause a huge political fallout for us. Um, I, for one, can't say when that would be because I'm not a political scholar, but um, I just know with a lot of like the literacy that's coming out these days, and a lot of like even just like again like the social media videos that we're seeing, um, it all just kind of hints to this. So I just wanted to share my thoughts. This is my first ever video, so I'm sorry if I'm just kind of all over the place because I didn't script this. I didn't come up with any notes for it beforehand. I just kind of turned on the camera and made it happen. Because I've got a lot of this equipment lying around. I use it for some projects here and there, but I really just want to make better use of it. The latest thing I've used it for is a short film that I shot with a couple of people I know in my area. We're premiering it in September, but I just want to put my gear to more use, and I think this is one of the most effective ways to do that. And I guess I just hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching me speak plainly. Because like I said before, that's what I want to do with this vlog, is I want to speak plainly. You know, I don't want to do any like hardcore editing. I don't want to do anything to like spice up my appearance or whatever. Like, I just want to speak plainly, and I want you guys to hear what I have to say. Because, again, like at the end of the day, I'm just one of many other YouTube voices out there who all probably have something to say, and I'm sure we all think that we're just, oh, you know, we're just we're just on top of the world with the way we think sometimes. But I mean, I'm not saying I am, and I've never really thought so, but like I'm just one of many voices out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys continue to watch. I have a couple loose ideas in mind for this channel. I haven't really put a lot of them like into full practice yet, but they're definitely like mentally brewing for me. And I guess that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you like me, you know, you can go ahead and subscribe. And I hope you all have a nice day.